Okay, everybody, here's the next lesson in how we manipulate light with the camera, or how we make adjustments to the camera. We only have 3 adjustments we can make. There's only 3. There aren't any more. There's just 3. One of them is f-stop, one of them is our shutter speed, and the other one is our ISO. Every camera in the world operates on those 3 adjustments, and only those 3. Okay? Motion picture cameras, video cameras, they all operate on the same principle. Okay? So a camera is a camera. What I want you to do is write a little chart and follow along with me, and write this out at the top of a page. Put light at the very top of the page, put an arrow and put more light to the left or in this direction, and put an arrow and put less light in this direction. As we go through this today, always refer to the top of this chart as it relates to light. Do I want more light in my picture because my picture's dark, I need to make it brighter? Or do I want less light? My picture's too bright, I want to make it a little darker. Okay? So if we simply refer to the letters or the words on the top of the chart, everything becomes much simpler when trying to explain what we do with light. Okay, for f-stop, more light, we're going to start over here, 2.8, 4.0, 5.6, 8, 11, 16, and 22. And to be sure to understand that this string of numbers continues in both directions. Okay? Shutter speeds, we're going to go with 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/15, 1/30, 1/60, 1/125, 1/250, 1/500, and 1/1000. Okay? Now, most of your cameras will be able to shoot faster than 1/1000th of a second, and I'm sure all of your cameras can shoot slower than 1/2 second. So the next full stop increment would be 1 second. Now the next full stop increment would be 2 seconds, 1 to 2, double. Very simple, okay? And our ISOs, we're going to go 6400, 3200, 1600, 800, 400, 200, and 100. Now a few of the professional cameras will let you shoot at ISO 50. So that's again just half, okay? And most of your cameras will go above 6400. Remarkable. Okay? Now, let's say we walk into a situation and we turn our camera on and we look at our light meter, and our light meter tells us that we can shoot this picture. Draw a black square. If you have colored, just draw a square around if you have colored pens or pencils. At an eighth of a sec, or a f8 at 125, and let's say ISO 400. Okay? So our 3 squares represent how much light we're letting into the camera. Okay? f8 at 1/25th of a second at ISO 400. We take that picture and we're happy with the way it looks. Okay? It's not overexposed, it's not underexposed, it's just right. But let's say we want to change our f-stop to f11. Or let's say I tell you, because I'm your teacher and I can tell you what to do, that your f-stop needs to be f11. Okay? So I'm going to circle f11. Now, the basis of photography is everything works on one-stop increments, right? So if we were to change our lens from f8 to f11, what have we done with light? That's right, we've gone from f8 to f11, so we've gone one stop less light. We might write that down as -1. So our picture is going to be darker, one full stop darker. Well, we don't want that. We want our picture to be the way it was when we first shot it with the, excuse me, with the black squares. So if we've gone one stop less light on our f-stops, the way to balance this out is to go one stop more light on our shutter speed. We don't need to change the ISO. We're happy with that where it was. So the picture will look exactly the same as far as the tonality or the total amount of light coming in the camera at f8 at 125 or f11 -1 and +1 on our shutter speed. So we have the same total amount of light coming in. Remember, just refer to the more light, less light at the top and try to rebalance the amount of light coming into the camera. So we went one stop darker, f11. We had to go one stop more light at 1/60th of a second. Now let's say we want to make a radical change to this. So let's say we want to go in the same direction. f8, let's say we want to shoot this at f22. Okay? So count with me, how many stops is that? 1, 2, 3. That would be -3 stops. We've gone less light, right? Now you're with me, you know where we're going with this. We need to change our shutter speed also 3 stops. 1, 2, 3. So now the picture will look exactly the same as far as the total amount of light coming in the camera at f22 at 1/15th of a second as it is at 60 at 11 or 125 at 8. And that is the miracle of photography, and that's why photography works, because everything is one stop apart and we can freely exchange one stop for another. Anywhere along this string of numbers on this chart, we can exchange because a stop is equal to 1 unit of light. So if we change 3 stops on our f-stop, we can change 3 stops on our shutter speed. And the total amount of light coming in the camera will be exactly the same. This is called equivalent exposure, and it is the foundation of photography, and it is why photography works, because we have a convention of stops to work with. So that's pretty cool. So now we can freely exchange these, okay? So, but Mr. Rentschler, I want to change my ISO. Well, let's look at a different scenario and see what we can do, all right? Let's use a red pen again. So remember our original picture was f8 at 125 at 400, okay? Well, let's change our shutter speed. And let's say we're going to shoot that at 1/4 of a second. Okay? So let's count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went 5 stops more light, so that would be +5. Okay? We're at f8. Our starting picture, f8, 125 at 400, right? Let's go back to our starting picture, f8. If we go 1, 2, 3, uh-oh, we've run out of room. We can only go -3 stops, can't we? -3. Well, where can we pick up the other 2 stops? You're right, we can adjust the ISO. So we need 2 more stops, right? Because all we can adjust our f-stop is 3 stops minus. We've gone 5 stops plus on our shutter speed. So the equation is not balanced yet. This picture is still going to be 2 stops too bright. So now we need to change. Well, what can we change? We can change our ISO. And we're going to do that in the same direction, less light, and we're going to go 1, 2, 2 stops. And there is our -2. 2 and 3 make 5. And there is our 5-stop shift from our f-stop, shutter speed, and ISO combined. So now we have been able to make that equation balance again and get back to what's called equivalent exposure. Remembering that our black squares was the original photograph and we were happy with it. F8 at 125 at 400. So there in a short example is equivalent exposure, and again it is the foundation of photography and why it works. All right, see you in the next lesson.